We are excited to share with you more information about about the Service Learning Academy. Today we're sharing some information with our students so that they are able to learn a little more about the Service Learning Academy, the classes that we offer at UNO, and some of our initiatives that are happening today. We have Sanaa who will be sharing screen in a little bit, but I just want to go through and have our full-time staff introduce ourselves. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Angie Cuevas, and I am the Service Learning Associate. I work with the P16 initiative, and I'm really lucky to be able to work with our faculty members, our P12 teachers in our Omaha area, metro area, along with our community partners and our graduate assistants to come all together to create service learning projects to be able to implement throughout our semesters. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Allegra to let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Allegra Harden. I'm the Campus Compact AmeriCorps Vista here at the Service Learning Academy. In my role, I focus on building capacity for anti-poverty service learning. And from me, I'm going to pass it over to Julie.
Good afternoon, I'm Julie Deerberger. I'm the director of the Service Learning Academy. My job is to really be thoughtful about our strategic vision, making sure that we have the appropriate funds to make things happen, communicate, evaluate, and collaborate across the campus and the community. I turn it over to Kirsten.
Hello, I'm Kirsten Case-Fuller, and I'm the community liaison with the Service Learning Academy. So I work really closely with the community to understand what the needs are and how service learning might be able to help fill that gap in partnership, and then also work closely with faculty on developing and implementing service learning projects. And I would like to pass this on to Madeline.
Hi everyone, my name's Madeline Hagar. I'm the Whites Fellow in the Service Learning Academy. So I work on program support for traditional service learning projects. I also plan events for our team, such as Showcase and Culture Fest, and then kind of work on other initiatives and projects as they come up. And I'm going to pass it to Latrina.
Hi all, I'm Latrina Hall. Thanks for being here. I'm the P16 Initiative Coordinator in the Service Learning Academy. So I work very closely with P12 teachers to collaborate with UNO faculty in their classes and community organizations to do service learning. And I think Iria.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Iria, and I am the Service Learning Academy Administrative Tech.
And we have Mustafa, who's going to share his screen and introduce our graduate assistants.
Hi everyone, my name is Mustafa. I have the pleasure to introduce the graduate assistants today to you all. Before I share my screen, I just want to say this. The graduate assistants play an integral role in supporting service learning projects. We represent various academic programs across the campus. All graduate assistants, can you wave or put a thumbs up so folks know who you are? As I call your name while I share my screen, folks will get to see you or your image. Let's see here. Sorry guys, just trying to share my screen. Okay. Sanaa Ahmed, graduate assistant, Service Learning Academy, Evaluation and Assessment, MA PhD in Industrial and Organizational Psychology. Ali Al-Ghaiti, graduate assistant, Service Learning Academy, program support, Masters in Data Science. Mustafa Barry, that's myself, graduate assistant, Service Learning Academy, program support, Masters in Social Work, and Masters in Public Health. Clara Fisher, graduate assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Business Administration. Brianna Fool, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Public Administration. Maria Jimenez, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Educational Specialist in School Psychology. Grace Nelson, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Social Work. Katie Pankening, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Social Work. Talia Smith, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Urban Studies. Kelsey Wagner, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Speech Language Pathology. And finally, Annie Zhu, Graduate Assistant, Service Learning Academy, Program Support, Masters in Business Administration in Business Analytics.
Thanks, Mustafa, for introducing our graduate assistants. I'm going to turn that over to Julie.
Yeah, so I think it's important as we're sharing out what we do in the Service Learning Academy, what our priorities are. It's important to kind of get a sense of the lens that we bring from the Service Learning Academy. So I wanted to share a little bit about why we think that this work is important, and then also give you a framework for understanding the priorities that we'll be offering students as they come forward, faculty and staff and administrators. So just keep an eye on that. But as you're thinking about service learning, we're always talking about service learning as a way to kind of plant a seed. New experiences give students, community, everyone an opportunity to think about something different. And service learning is one of the ways that we do that. And it's really important for us to keep the ground around those seeds, that garden, tilled and fertile and full of the things that we know are important that help to make us healthy in that space. That goes along with trust, appropriate community engagement, et cetera. And so we're addressing those things in our priorities this year. Additionally, as we all know, we are working within a remote framework, and that's increasingly important. Service learning is one of the ways that makes remote and online learning really vibrant and come to life. So this is an excellent tool for our faculty and to use so that they can keep students engaged. And students also will want to look for these kinds of opportunities to make sure that they feel engaged in this space where we're kind of alienated at some points. Also, as the world continues to struggle with social justice and equity, we need these experiential learning experiences in order to develop the leaders that we know we need in a diverse and inclusive community. And we know that our Service Learning Academy is positioned thoughtfully to fill that gap, partner with faculty, partner with students, and partner with organizations to create really valuable experiences that are justice focused and make real change. And it's only in that collaboration that we can do that. So we take very seriously how we approach our work with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind. So as such, I have a statement here and some language around honoring our native lands. This was developed in collaboration with an organization called Campus Compact and with UNO Native American Studies. We deliver a land acknowledgement to acknowledge the historical legacy of colonialism by honoring and paying respect to the land, which has been taken by conquest, along with the domination of people who inhabited the land and the imposition of white supremacy. We do it to raise greater public consciousness of Native sovereignty and cultural rights as a small step toward equitable relationship and reconciliation. So as such, we first recognize that we are guests living on lands represented by Native nations whose sovereignty, governance, and treaty lands existed long before the state of Nebraska. And these nations specifically include Omaha, Ponca, Santee, Ho-Chunk or Winnebago, Lakota, Pawnee, Cheyenne, Arapaho, Mezcawi, Oto, Missouri, Iowa, Ka, Wichita, Kickapoo, and Delaware nations.
Thanks, Julie, for sharing that land acknowledgement and really identifying where we are at with the Service Learning Academy. So we're going to jump into the types of service learning that we offer here at UNO. And Sanat is sharing just a little bit of information here on our one-pager. We'll be sharing this one-pager with you via email, so you can have access to this as well. So we have 3 types of service learning classes at UNO. All projects encourage a heightened sense of community, civic engagement, and personal responsibility for students while building capacity and contributing to real community impact. So as you see here, we have the P16 initiative, traditional classes, and our Maverick Philanthropy initiative. With the P16 service learning courses, we have an opportunity where our UNO courses are paired with a preschool through 12th grade course and a community partner. That community partner could be a nonprofit organization, a business, or a governmental agency. Those 3 will work together to work on the community identified project. And these courses often include an interdisciplinary collaboration where partners from different disciplines are able to combine to meet those project goals. And we'll share a little bit more information about the P16 initiative through a video of a project that has happened typically in the spring and fall in a chemistry class at UNO. We also have traditional classes, which is our longest standing service learning class offered at UNO. And it includes a UNO class that is partnered with a community partner. So again, that nonprofit, business, or governmental organization to serve the needs and opportunities expressed by the community partner who are co-teachers in this process. And then we have a newer initiative called the Maverick Philanthropy Initiative. And it allows students to participate firsthand in building community capacity through advocacy. It's designed to encourage an interest in philanthropy while educating students in the real life impacts of giving. Maria is going to share with us about the project that I mentioned with the P16 initiative. She's going to share a little video with you about the wildlife safari.
Yeah, hello everyone. So now that we've heard what makes up the different types of projects that the Service Learning Academy offers, we're going to look at a project example video. And like Angie said, this is a P16 project that's titled Wildlife Safari.
Hey Maria, we can't hear the sound.
Sorry, that was my fault.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Let's do a quick 101 on the Service Learning Academy's project, Wildlife Safari. The ingredients to a successful wildlife safari project are as follows. As you can see, it takes a mix of the Northwest and a UNO chem instructor, 1 wildlife safari outdoor education program manager, students, and of course, 1 Service Learning Academy graduate assistant. The aim of the project is to deepen students' understanding of the interconnection of water chemistry and the overall health of the environment. For the project, both student groups travel to Ashland, Nebraska to view Wildlife Safari Park. Students proceed to collect water from Frog Lake, Wolf Creek, and Pawnee Creek. Following collection, students record various variables of the water's quality. Following their wildlife safari visits, students visit UNO to utilize the chemistry department's water testing equipment. Students turn their data into amazing final presentation posters. Students then present their posters to an audience at Henry Dorley Zoo. The Wildlife Safari project is a great example of a P16 project and a rewarding opportunity for students and instructors alike to exit their classroom and truly put their knowledge to the test. Let's do a quick 101 on the Service Learning Academy's project.
Thank you, that was great. So I feel like that's a great video and just a great project to be a part of. So now that we've gone over what each of the different type of projects include, what the project looks like, I'm going to show you how to search for classes that include a service learning component. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Okay, so to start, in order to search for classes, you're going to go to the UNO Omaha or the unomaha.edu webpage, so our main UNO page, and up on academics, you're going to go down to class search. And if you scroll, you'll be able to see that you can search for classes and the different terms that are offered. You can individualize this a little bit more if you want to look at a certain subject, but the easiest way to look through all of the service learning classes that are offered are if you go down to program and select service learning, and then just hit submit. So this goes through and gives you a list of all the classes that are available for the spring 2021, since that is the term that we selected. And all of these include a service learning component. And you'll be able to see that again during course attribute, and it'll tell you that it includes a service learning component. So I highly encourage students to look through your coursework and look through any classes that may be available to you that include that service learning component. So it's a great experience to look for. So I'm gonna stop sharing that there. If there's any questions on class search or anything, feel free to add that in the chat box. I also want to talk a little bit about my experience with service learning. So I initially started as a healthcare administration major. Currently in my third year of graduate school already in school psychology. And then in just under 2 years, I'm going to be a nationally certified school psychologist already, but I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for service learning. So I started my undergrad with that healthcare administration major. That is what I knew that was what my previous work experience was in. So I thought it was an easy route to go. Although I was always fascinated by the study of psychology, I never really looked into what area I wanted to pursue. So because of that general psychology interest, I decided to take a psychology in the schools course in undergrad, which was an elective class, but it included a service learning component. At that time, I didn't really know what service learning actually meant. I just knew that I would get some real life experience. So during that experience, I was able to work individually with a student that needed a reading intervention. And during this whole process, I got to know the student. I screened for that reading level that we were looking for. And then I created an individualized reading intervention that I implemented weekly. It was then at that moment that I realized that school psychology was my passion and it was my calling. And I really enjoyed every minute that I spent at that site working with those kiddos. So I immediately, after like the first week, went in and talked to my advisor and changed my major. I haven't looked back since. I just want to tell you that service learning does have the potential to impact you the way it did for me. And there's so many other benefits as well. So for me, they were building those new relationships with people in the community, changing my perspective from helping to serving, and also just gaining new professional experiences. So this past spring, I was lucky enough to present one of my service learning projects for a different class in Baltimore at our professional association conference. So those are just so many of the reasons that I highly recommend you try at least one service learning class. So I'm not sure how many students we have in the audience today, but if we do have any audience, I would love to know who has taken a service learning class before. If you want to just type yes in the chat, please, and then we can kind of see kind of who's been involved.
Thanks for sharing your story, Maria. I love hearing every time how service learning has really impacted you and your experience and your decision to change your major. We also have another testimony from Kelsey about how service learning has impacted her career here at UNO.
Yes, so hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Wagner, and like Mustafa said, I am studying speech language pathology here, and I did my undergrad here, and during my
freshman orientation, I remember being told, Omaha will be your classroom. And I really didn't know the impact that would leave on me during my experience as undergrad and moving into grad school. I am beginning my first semester of graduate school here at UNO, and in a couple of weeks, I will be completing my 5th service learning project. And I'm really happy that this has been put on my plate, so to speak. And I really have one professor to thank for that, Dr. Ritzman. She is here. She's been the driving force behind my service learning experience, and I have been challenged to apply course content outside of the 4 walls of a traditional classroom. These courses have allowed me to meet with community members, to share enriching literacy techniques for their child's development, support high school students' language and literacy during creation of a podcast with a partnership with Jocelyn Art Museum, and also implementing activities that children with autism can participate in to satisfy their sensory needs. These are just a few examples of what I've been able to do because of service learning projects here at UNO. When I talk to other friends in other courses and other degrees, I always hear about them cramming for a test, and when they walk out of the classroom, they sometimes forget the knowledge that they've been studying for the past week. But with service learning, it's completely different. I have gained knowledge during the preparation, the implementation, and especially the reflection of these service learning projects that goes well beyond a letter grade. It doesn't have an expiration date, and it's a valuable experience I will carry into my professional career. And it has driven a deep force into the meaning of service for me. And service learning has affected how I view my definition of what a classroom looks like. Service learning has shown me that Omaha is my classroom, and I love that, and I love learning more and more each class that I go into that applies this. And what I've experienced with community partners in relationship to my courses goes far beyond whatever a class can offer me. So I'm thankful for service learning, and I'm excited to finish out the 2 service learning projects that I'm in currently. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. Well, you've taken 5 service learning courses. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I like it.
So cool. And I love hearing how Omaha really has been your classroom and how community partners have impacted your experience here at UNO. And I'm sure that so many other folks who have taken service learning courses could express that sentiment. I mean, we have some awesome community partners here in Omaha and really across the nation, and even internationally. We've had some international service learning projects. So just very exciting to hear your stories and impact about how service learning has impacted your experience, I guess, here at UNO. So thank you so much. Speaking of how service learning can impact your time here at UNO, we do have some gen ed courses. And Maria had shared earlier about how to search for a service learning class. So if you are still looking for some gen ed classes to fill your roster for the semester, check that out. There are many opportunities for you to take a gen ed course with a service learning component. You could even talk to your advisor to seek some guidance about the service learning courses you could take. We also want to share about the Community Engaged Scholar Transcript Designation. This is an awesome opportunity for you to enroll in this program to identify on your transcript that you are a community engaged scholar. This is a new pilot program, and we're really excited to announce this. You'll see here, you'll need to apply for the program. As we scroll down the page, it shows you here where you can apply. So you'll click on the Canvas link. Thank you. And we'll walk you through about how to register for that transcript designation. As you see there, you do have to complete 4 of those bullet points there. So the completion of 1 community-based learning experience, completion of 6 hours of service learning coursework. And I believe I heard Julie share earlier that in an earlier session that you can transfer in 3 credit hours from another institution. Is that correct, Julie?
Yes, it is.
Awesome, thank you.
With approval from the Service Learning Academy and some documentation, but yes.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks for sharing that. A completion of 135 volunteer or community service hours outside of your classroom. And then also there is a written reflection component to this as well. If you are interested in doing this, Annabelle Absett is the person who organizes that, and we'll put her chat or her email in the chat here. If you can't see the chat, if you're watching this video, please feel free to email me and I can gladly connect you with Annabelle. Next, we have an opportunity for you to connect with ACDC for resume support. If you have taken a service learning class or are prepared to, we want to make sure that that is reflected on your resume so that you can talk about it when you're out on interviews. I had a conversation once with a man from UP who does some hiring, and he was also very excited to see when students put on their resume that they have service learning experience. So connect with ACDC if you have any questions about how to reflect service learning on your resume. And then this coming spring, so in February 17th and 18th, we'll be hosting a research symposium. And this is an opportunity for any student to present research from any participating service learning course, or if you've done research on service learning, we would love to have you join us in sharing that research. Feel free to reach out to Claire Fisher, and her email is on this one pager. And then just a couple of things to keep an eye out for. We will be hosting an asset-based community engaged training and a student implicit bias training. One of our goals this year is to further the development of this work, and we'll be creating some online modules for that. These dates haven't yet been decided, so please keep an eye out for that through our social media and our website. And if you haven't yet, please do like or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We often will post about different service learning projects that are happening in our community, and we'd love to highlight some of the work that you do in your service learning classes. So that is some information that we wanted to share with you about the Service Learning Academy, and we would like to open it up for questions, which I think Bree is going to facilitate.
Yeah, so this is just an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. I think I'm just going to wrap everything up with a quick activity, but feel free to interrupt me if you have questions, or also just throw it right in the chat. So if you think of a question, yes, just ask. And the quick little activity that we're going to do is, what is one word that you think of when you hear service learning? So go ahead and put that word that you think of in the chat. I'll kind of throw them out there as they come, and we can have a little discussion. Yeah. Community, partners, collaboration, community, teamwork, engagement, impactful. Yes. Does anybody want to explain why they chose that word? Well, we know why Kelsey chose impactful because it's pretty much changed her life. So yeah, I'd say my word that I have is definitely community whenever I think of service learning, just because of how integrated UNO in general is into the Omaha community, and how the Service Learning Academy just kind of facilitates that. Because yeah, Omaha is really our classroom. I love how you said that, Kelsey, because it's very true. Yeah, the whole city is our is our oyster pretty much. And I'm so glad that we get the opportunity to make an impact on all these organizations that we work with. So yeah, does anybody have questions that they feel like they didn't get answered? Anything like that? I'll give you 7 seconds because that's the time that people need to form a question. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's all. Feel free to reach out to the Service Learning Academy if you have questions. Everybody's contact information should be on their little pictures. So yeah, I think that's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Bree, for facilitating that and for everyone's answers. We are just so thankful for you joining us today and thankful for you joining us in the future if you watch this video. We look forward to working with you and encourage you to take a service learning class. Thank you, everyone.